We are back with more Road Gang Radio, and you're riding shotgun with Jimmy Mac and Lindsay Lawler live from Austin, Texas.
Hey guys, put on those cool Shady Rays to keep the glare out of your eyes. They got your back at ShadyRays.com with their lost and broken protection plans. And by the way, terrific customer service, ShadyRays.com. We also want to thank, since we are at TXTA here in the great city of Austin, invited by our good friend John Esparza and all the folks here at the Texas Trucking Association, Great West Casualty Company, who made all of this possible. Guys, thank you so much for your contribution to this. We'll be promoting them more when we get to the TXTA segment of this show, which is the moment in time and space where we will actually start talking about how you go about making a living, particularly in Texas. I turn it over to you, Lindy LaRue.
Lindy or Lindsay. Joining us is, you know I love me some Texas country. You know I love me some 90s country. You know I love me anything that my friend Elise, the publicist extraordinaire, is going to send me. So when she said, do you want to talk to my client, Jon Wolfe, who's a Texas country singer? I said, woo. Say less. Say less, my friend. So join us next. We got a country singer, y'all. He's a staple in the Texas honky tonk realm. I'll call it Jon Wolfe. He was born in Tulsa, shout out, but raised in Miami, Oklahoma. I know where that is. He grew up singing in church, but then Jim eventually was trading on a Chicago trading floor and then realized that was too devilish for him. He needed the Lord, so he came back to country music. Thank you, Jesus. He's racked up over 700,000 monthly listeners, more than 400 million career streams, 35 million views on YouTube. The list goes on. And Rolling Stone guys dubbed him, I love this, the Lone Star State's Dance Hall King. If that doesn't
that's
just,
actually really
isn't that good?
Here's the thing: is people say stuff about people and you're like, that's good. People say things about people that are both good and true.
Good and true.
And that, I got to tell you, after listening to this stuff, that feels absolutely
well.
true.
And the Dance Hall King, that just, you immediately have a visual, you immediately have a feeling. Like I'm back growing up in Texas, buckle rubbing, being pushed around the dance floor when this never happened to me, but in my head I always wanted it to happen. So he's taking me back to where I want to be. We're going to talk about his new music. He's so fun. He's on tour now. Please join me in welcoming my new friend and yours to the metaphorical front porch. Welcome, Jon Wolfe. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning. How are y'all doing?
Oh, you even sound you talk like I wanted you to, John. That makes me happy. You talk like you're wearing a cowboy hat, even if you're drinking your coffee at home.
Well, I'm actually sitting in my tour bus at a truck stop in Dodge City, Kansas, drinking my coffee.
Boom. Well, John, I don't know if Elise, my friend Elise, lets you know this, but I'm sure you do. The vast majority of our audience are over-the-road truckers who do sit in their cab and drink their coffee at a truck stop just as often as you do. So you're sitting in pretty company right now.
Well, I appreciate that intro, too. You guys, I need to record that and play it before I go on stage. That was a very kind intro. I appreciate that.
Well, for a nominal fee, I will come along with you everywhere you go, and the fee is coffee.
Yeah, by the way, that's all you need to give us is coffee. Hot coffee for Lindsay
Perfect.
And cold coffee for me. I wanted to ask you this question because Lindsay had alluded to the fact that there is a real distinctive sort of nostalgic sound while at the same time not feeling dated that kind of goes through your thing. And I wanted to ask this, and I think it'll make sense to you, the idea that sometimes we find ourselves gravitating to a particular period of music, a place that we really are comfortable with, that at the same time challenges us. Do you feel like that echo chamber to the past that nonetheless makes you relevant now, do you feel like when you found that area, you were like, this is where I need to be. This is the music that I enjoy. This is the place I want to be. It doesn't feel calculated because there's a gamble in playing that 90s style country that, could basically get people like, well, that's good, but I'm not listening to that. There's something about it that's relevant now. And can you kind of talk about the idea of finding your voice and finding your sound? Am I making sense, by the way?
Yeah, for sure. I think, it's interesting because, I'm launching a new project. We talked about Elise, my publicist, helping me sort of re-engage. My first record came out 15 years ago. It came out in 2010. It all happened in a honky tonk.
Love that. Love that title.
We're on the verge of releasing my 5th studio record. I've got 3 live records. So it's been 15 years playing country music on the road, in and out of Nashville, a handful of record deals like a lot of them have had. And I'm independent at this point. But, in terms of like the songwriters that I work with, my producer's Grammy nominated. He was one of the first guys that started working with Jamie Johnson 25 years ago, 30 years ago. So it's kind of, I think it's interesting because this is what I've always done. So, as these trends change, and now sort of that 90s sound, they're looking for that. I'm kind of saying, hey, I kind of always did that in a way. But I think the point you're bringing up is, doing something that is fresh is really important. So I think I've always just been a traditional country guy, and I grew up in the 90s, so Garth Brooks was my hero. I listened to a lot of I'm still listening to a lot of George Strait. So I think it's just kind of built into my DNA, if that makes sense. I don't know necessarily that I'm, chasing that per se, but it's just kind of there. It's kind of built in the way I create country music. And I try to make it sound like you're saying, and I appreciate that. I try to make it sound like, oh, this is reminiscent of the 90s. This is reminiscent of country music, but it's 2025,
Yeah.
But I'm also not like a big, there's been a trend in country music in Nashville using a lot of electric, loops and things of that nature. I like to say I'm loop-free country. I don't know if you guys know what loops are.
Yeah, we do.
I'm a recovering looper. You're not even recovering. You never even stepped in. Well done.
Yeah, so I think I may launch a T-shirt, loop-free country.
That's actually really good.
Yeah. So, I think that's sort of been my focus, is just, making stuff that is sort of true to what I do. And I think that the new stuff that's coming out now, if you guys have listened to the new single, The Older I Get, More Country I'm Getting to Be, that's actually leaning a little further into the organic side for me. I mean, Boots on a Dance Floor has been my biggest song of my career, and I think it's somewhere in the 50 million stream range. That was edging a little bit more modern, for me. So there's little variances in what I've done over the years, but it all kind of falls into that sort of nostalgic 90s country sound.
Well, and what's cool, I think what's interesting, John, is that there's a difference in when, people ask you, like, who are your influences? And obviously you can say George and all the people that you and I are the same age, it sounds like, because I also grew up in the 90s and sounds like similar heroes to you. But it's interesting when we're not like consciously going after, you're not like consciously going like, I'm going to make a record that sounds like, like George or Garth. You're, like you said, it's just
right
in your DNA. You're just literally producing what comes out of you. But what's cool about this is that you have to go out and have a life so that you can come back and write these songs and live these songs and be believable about the songs. You literally traded the trading floor in Chicago. You went and did that for a minute and realized it was a soul suck, I'm going to guess. However, It gave you stories. It gave you experience. It gave you like you haven't just been only making music in the world, because I think sometimes that's a disconnect from like a relatability factor. If all you know is out there making music, people are, it's sometimes hard to convey the believability in the music. You have lived a lot of life and also then came back to it, and now you've been just full focused on it. So do you feel that because of your time on the trading floor, granted that's not necessarily country, but it is dealing with people in their real lives every day, did that have a hand, you think, in being able to write stories that people are going to relate to and feel like that they're living it with you?
Well, for sure. And I think, I really, so, growing up in Oklahoma, I was around music, grew up in church. My stepfather's a bass player. He actually played bass in the Grand Lake Opry with Joe Don Rooney. eventually became one of the founders of Rascal Flatts. So, I was around country music. I had a lot of interests. I was a athlete in high school. I thought, part of me, when I found out I wasn't going to be Michael Jordan, there was a short period of time, and I'm like, hold on a second. I'm 6 feet tall. This is not going to happen. But I got into the outdoors. Part of me wanted to be a Wall Street guy. So I had a bunch of interests, and also growing up in Miami, Oklahoma, I really didn't know how to get into country music. I was playing and singing when I was 18, 19 years old, but I really didn't know the path to get into country. There's so many avenues now, and it's got sort of the invention of YouTube that's created all these really amazing singers and songwriters, and they're very technically good. And I'm looking at some of these guys. I'm like, wow, they're 20 years old, and they're singing and playing like somebody that's 30. And but I think for me, it's sort of I went to college. I'm really thankful that I have a finance degree. I went to college at Colorado State University in Fort Collins, Colorado. I had a blast in college. I, lived a lot of life in the mountains. And then when out of college, I got hired by British Petroleum, and I moved to Chicago, and I was on the path of being an oil trader full time and making a lot of money. I do say this to my wife and my mom quite a bit. I would be retired right now if I had stuck with the oil business.
But would you have been happy?
Right, exactly.
Who knows?
So I think it's just a matter of I really didn't start playing country music full time till I was 25. So there are times I regret that, because there are some artists that move to Nashville when they're 18, and it definitely puts you on it gives you more time to go through the pitfalls and still sort of have that opportunity to recreate yourself. But I also look back and I'm like, man, I'm really thankful that I've had these like real life experiences and got to do some other things, than country music.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you both laugh because we're all Xers. I'm just going to come right out and say it. Since we're in TX, we're all Xers talking here, by the way. And Generation X suffers, of course, from the fact that the old system that we were told would work for us went away, right as the new system that we didn't get a chance to adjust to kind of showed up. I think you've done quite all right, John. Jon Wolfe, country.com, joins us this morning.
Jon Wolfe with an E, by the way. We had on yesterday, real quick, we had Timothy Howells on yesterday from the Plain White Tees, and we got Jon Wolfe today. So we're just really rounding out our animal instincts
And
around
I'm
here.
telling you what, man, it's like not werewolves of London, werewolves of Austin,
Yeah,
are
baby.
all over the place.
Let's go.
I love it.
I wanted to kind of ask you that too, because the idea that when you talk about the idea of getting started a little bit later than everybody else, and the idea that you'd be rich right now if you had stuck with the old profession, I'm going to make you feel good. I think that you might have gotten rich, but I think you might be the one not enjoying it. And I think there'd be a lot of people who would miss you right now because you'd be so emotionally distant. Because, man, what you don't want to end up is on the floor of an oil trading situation where all you can do is dream of distant trains and hobos playing guitars.
True.
It's not a good place to be.
True story.
And that's
Thank you for
that's
that.
kind of you got it, brother. And the music is so very good. John, where are you playing next? I know that you're calling us from the road. Where's the next destination? And talk to us about your fans and the venues you get a chance to play.
Yeah, man. We're in Dodge City, Kansas tonight. Oklahoma City tomorrow night at Beer City. It's a really great venue there. And then we're swinging through Durant, Oklahoma on our way back down to Texas. So we are
Choctaw,
based in
baby.
Brussels. Yeah.
Are you playing the Choctaw Casino?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a handful of dates, the tour schedule's on our website, and they can catch it off our Instagram and Facebook, and so really we're playing a lot of clubs and a lot of fairs and festivals right now through the end of the year, and my fan base has really been amazing. I mean, especially as the landscape of music has changed since COVID. Really since 2020, a lot of things have dramatically changed out there, and it's really amazing to me when we're able to. I think for a few years we didn't tour as much. I definitely kind of COVID started that, and then I had a pretty big touring year in 2022, rolling into 23, but we haven't really been on the road a ton. But it's amazing they're all showing up, and I think that's, we just did 1,000 tickets down in Corpus Christi 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
And I'm like, wow, some of these folks have stuck with me for 12 and 13 and 14 years, 15 years. So I think that's really an amazing thing.
It's super amazing, and what's really cool about this, Jon, I mean, that's a huge jump. These days, that's a huge number to come out to something, because people aren't, to your point, things have shifted after COVID. People don't go out as much, or they're very calculated about when they do. I mean, between COVID and economy and whatever, they're very calculated what they do. So that's a huge testament to you. But
Sure.
also what I love, if you're going to be the dance hall king, like you're going to the places that make sense for your music. You're playing dance halls where people can dance. Are people buckle rubbing at your shows, I'm going to hope?
Oh yeah, for sure.
That doesn't mean having sex, by the way. That means dancing for your dildos that are Texan.
Go on.
Well, it depends on the venue. We play everything from theaters now to dance halls to, like I said, fairs, festivals. And I think, another thing that's great about our fan base is I've always been an album guy, and I know that's kind of changed in the landscape of music in the past few years. But every one of my records tend to have in the past have had 14, 15, 16 songs on them, and I put a lot into those records, and so our fans are always. I mean, I can't tell you how many folks are asking for album cuts, stuff that I'm like, holy smokes, I haven't played that song. And, hey, Jon, play I'll Take My Chances, or play Married to Nothing, or play Natural Man. And I'm going, yeah, I remember those songs for sure, but I haven't played them for a minute. But it's really great that they dig into the records. I think that's the most, that's been the most fun for me as a music guy. Like when I go listen to an album, I mean, I'm buddies with Parker McCollum, and Parker lives in our neighborhood, and he just put out a new record, and man, I've had it on repeat, mowing the lawn, just digging into the whole album. That's so much fun, and I hope people get back to that.
I love that about you. We're almost out of time. So two things. First, I'd like to ask you, because I'm going to put you on the spot on the air. I launched a show a couple weeks ago called We Should Write, about the healing power of writing. We're having artists and creatives come on and talk about how writing has helped heal and evolve them. So I would love to have you back on that show. Say yes, because you're on the spot now.
Absolutely.
Great.
Come on, let's do it.
Great.
Let me
Thank
know
you.
when.
Okay. And then tell her, since we have a lot of drivers listening, and knowing that we have the visual of you sitting there at the truck stop, what are some of your on-the-road comforts? What is something, both food, drink, reading materials, like comfort items that you have to have with you on the bus?
Well, first of all, I have to have an amazing bus driver. And
Smart.
My bus driver, J.R. Rodriguez, he's driven everybody. We take a lot of care with this bus. I'm a bus owner, so we put a lot of work into this. But right now, I'm drinking coffee out of my Nespresso machine.
Oh,
you guys have Nespresso?
By the way,
so you're rich.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Just kidding.
Take it easy. Take it easy. Take it easy. Don't spread that around. I love it. I love it. A good Nespresso, by the way.
Yeah,
buddy. I'm also a big fan. By the way, if you get a chance, Jon, look up what the Cumulus is. Trust me, there's a coffee maker out there called the Cumulus. It pours cold brew like it's Guinness. And that's all I'll say. It comes out ice cold like it's Guinness. But go on. Nespresso is awesome.
Yeah, we have Nespresso is very important. I have a specific type of beef jerky I have to have on the bus, which is Hard Times beef jerky. I'm a beef jerky guy, so I've got to have that. We also have to have Dove chocolates, dark chocolates. It's very important to have that on the bus. Most of my guys are living pretty healthy now, but there's a few things on the bus that are indulgent. So Dove chocolates, Hard Times beef jerky, and my Nespresso, and a great bus driver, and we're ready to go.
Good job for starting with the bus driver, like that being the number one most important, because precious cargo. You're a smart man.
Let me tell you something else, too. I
That's
love
right.
these songs, but I got to tell you, after him telling me the 3 things on the thing, a little beef jerky,
You
a little
now
coffee.
wanna be his bestie?
I'm in. He's my best friend. Best friend I ever had. We're friends. I can say it now.
Yeah, we're friends.
John
I love
Wolfe
it.
with
I
an E
love
is a
it.
friend of mine.
We're pals.
Yeah, that's
We're
it.
pals.
John, we got to tell you goodbye. It's
No, but goodbye for now.
for now.
Because
We're gonna
definitely
get you
going to come
on
back.
the other show.
We're going to dive deep.
Thanks
We'll
for
actually
having me, guys.
play the music. Everybody go to Jon Wolfe. That's Jon Wolfe, WOLFE, country.com. You will not be disappointed. This is music that's going to help you roll down the road, be a little nostalgic while feeling like you're not old. Nostalgic yet new, because everything old is new again.
I love
John,
it.
such a pleasure. Big fan, and looking forward to talking to you more. Good luck on the rest of the dates this week.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.